We need it for national protection. We need Greenland for national protection. They have a very small population. And I don't know, they say Denmark, but Denmark has spent no money. They have no military protection.
President Donald Trump has reignited diplomatic tensions with European allies, including Denmark, after appointing Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry as his special envoy to Greenland, a move that has drawn sharp rebukes from leaders in Copenhagen and even Nuuk. The announcement has revived controversy over Trump's long-standing interest in bringing the vast mineral-rich Arctic island under U.S. control, an idea firmly rejected by both Denmark and Greenland. Trump confirmed the appointment on Sunday, describing Greenland as critical to U.S. and allied security interests. In a post on Truth Social, the president said Landry understands how essential Greenland is to our national security and would work to advance American interests for the safety, security, and survival of U.S. allies. Trump has repeatedly argued that Greenland's strategic location between North America and Europe, along with its untapped natural resources, makes it indispensable to Washington. Landry, who became Louisiana's governor in January 2024, openly welcomed the role. Writing on X, he called it an honor to serve in what he described as a volunteer position, and said he would work to make Greenland part of the United States, while stressing that the appointment would not affect his duties as governor. The White House did not immediately respond to questions seeking clarification on the scope of Landry's mandate. The reaction from Denmark and Greenland was swift and unequivocal. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen issued a joint statement rejecting any notion of U.S. ownership. You cannot annex another country, not even with arguments about international security, the statement said. Greenland belongs to the Greenlanders, and the United States shall not take over Greenland. Greenland, a self-governing territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, has a population of roughly 57,000 and retains the legal right to seek full independence under a 2009 agreement with Copenhagen. While its economy depends heavily on fishing and Danish financial support, its geopolitical importance has grown as Arctic ice melts and global competition for resources intensifies. The island also hosts key elements of the U.S. ballistic missile defense system, further heightening Washington's interest. Nielsen sought to downplay the appointment, saying in a Facebook post that the latest announcement from Washington may sound big, but would not change Greenland's future. "We decide our own path," he said, emphasizing that Greenland's territorial integrity must be respected. Diplomatic tensions escalated further after Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said he would summon U.S. Ambassador Kenneth Houry for an explanation. Speaking to Danish broadcaster TV2, Rasmussen said it was completely unacceptable for a U.S. representative to suggest taking over Greenland, especially after recent assurances of mutual respect. Prime Minister Frederiksen echoed that frustration in an Instagram post, calling the situation difficult and expressing disappointment that a close ally was putting Denmark under such pressure. The dispute was compounded by fresh economic friction. On Monday, the Trump administration suspended leases for 5 major offshore wind projects off the U.S. East Coast, including 2 involving Denmark's state-controlled energy firm Ørsted. The move was widely seen as adding strain to already tense U.S.-Danish relations. Analysts say the appointment signals a hardening U.S. approach. Mikkel Vedby Rasmussen, a political science professor at the University of Copenhagen, said the decision showed Denmark's investments in Arctic defense and efforts to reassure Washington had failed to ease U.S. pressure. Trump himself reinforced his stance in remarks to the BBC, saying the United States needed Greenland for national protection and insisting we have to have it. For Denmark and Greenland, however, the message remains unchanged. Greenland's future will be decided by its own people, not by outside powers.
A new geopolitical storm is erupting in the Arctic, and it's putting the United States on a collision course with Europe. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has issued a blunt warning after U.S. President Donald Trump intensified his push to annex Greenland. Standing firmly beside Denmark and Greenland, von der Leyen declared the European Union's full solidarity, stressing that territorial integrity and sovereignty are non-negotiable pillars of international law. Her message was clear: borders cannot be redrawn by force or ambition. The flashpoint came after Trump announced the appointment of a special envoy to Greenland, a move almost unheard of in international diplomacy. The envoy, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, made the mission explicit, publicly stating his goal was to make Greenland a part of the U.S. The reaction in Denmark was swift and furious. Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said he was deeply upset, calling the appointment and Landry's statements completely unacceptable. Denmark announced it would summon the U.S. ambassador to formally convey its anger, a rare step between NATO allies. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas reinforced the warning, saying Greenland's status is for Greenlanders and Danes alone to decide, and that all partners must respect sovereignty under the United Nations Charter and NATO treaty obligations. But Trump has not backed down. On social media, he praised Landry's appointment, saying Greenland is essential to U.S. national security and global stability. Trump has repeatedly argued that America must control the vast, resource-rich Arctic island, even threatening military action if Denmark refuses. Greenland and Denmark have both issued firm rejections. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen and Greenland's Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen released a joint statement declaring, "You cannot annex another country, not even with arguments about international security." Nielsen was even more direct. Greenland belongs to its people, and its future will be decided by them alone. This is not the first time such tensions have flared. Earlier this year, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance visited Greenland, claiming the island was vulnerable and that Washington had no other option but to expand its presence.
Our message to Denmark is very simple. You have not done a good job by the people of Greenland. You have underinvested in the people of Greenland, and you have underinvested in the security architecture of this incredible, beautiful landmass filled with incredible people. That has to change.
Last summer, Denmark summoned the envoy after reports of American influence operations targeting Greenland's population.
Yes, but Greenland belongs to the Greenlanders, and Greenland is part of the Danish kingdom, and that's not going to change. I think that many Greenlandic politicians are now gradually, both before the election campaign, during the election campaign, and even now making it very, very, very clear that Greenland wants to be Greenland, and we fully support that.
Now, the stakes are higher. Trump has also spoken openly about annexing the Panama Canal, the Gaza Strip, and even Canada, signaling a dramatic shift in American rhetoric toward territorial expansion. For Europe, this is no longer just about Greenland. It is about sovereignty, alliances, and whether international rules still apply when power is tested. As Brussels closes ranks behind Denmark and Greenland, a chilling question looms over the Arctic. Is this diplomatic brinksmanship or the opening move in a far larger global confrontation?
You assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something.